Okay, so earlier, Carlos and I were talking, and I was explaining to him that now that he's at the green belt level, he has to get some submissions and make them a regular part of his game. We can't just defend, and once the core basics are really rooted in deeply, it's nice, but we progress from there, right? We progress from there. Submissions exist in jiu-jitsu. Finishing holds exist in jiu-jitsu for a reason, so we can do them. And also because it may not just be enough to defend ourselves forever. If an opponent is aggressive in a street fight, or if we're fighting professionally in a tournament, or in the street, or in the ring, we don't fight professionally in the street. Let me just make that clear, right? You could maybe, but I don't know about that. In any event, there may be a circumstance where we require a submission to finish an opponent because it's an official fight, or to finish an opponent who won't comply with the dominant positions we put them in when we're being attacked, right, on the street or in a self-defense scenario. So, submissions are a critical part of the game. There's a difference between rolling or training with one another in what I call a submission-centric way and a position-centric way. All submissions in jiu-jitsu are themselves a position. It's just a position that puts additional or undue stress on a joint, like a wrist, or an elbow, or a shoulder, or a knee, or an ankle, or the neck, right? Those are the main areas we attack. There's other things that can be attacked, but a submission is, in and of itself, a position. It's a position that's held and perhaps elongated and exaggerated with a slow, firm, continuous pressure, but it is a position. That means that the underlying basis of all submissions is position, which means that the position is always going to boil down to being the most essential element. But let's not get too confused. Submissions are a part of what we do. They're an essential element of both organized and live defensive fighting, and a necessary tool in our box. So we want to make that a regular part of our training so we can understand how to use them. The more you know them, the safer you can be with them also. One example of a position that works itself into a submission nicely is when we already have this dominant control from the bottom, the opponent on the bottom, and we're on the top, right? So we just worked on the side mount, and we did this drill to warm up, escaping the side mount. So let's have Nathan lay on his back here and refresh our memories. Dad, you can point your head this way, please. When we have the side control position, the nicest basic approach to this is to be one hand under the head and the second hand under the armpit. And we'll go palm to palm in a thumbless grip. This is called a gable grip. The legs are going to assume two positions. One position is the top leg is stepped up. And the second leg, the bottom leg, right, this is the top, that's the bottom, this is near, that's far, just so we have the directional keys down. The bottom leg is going to stretch like this. His motion here can be either still and accepting, or if he's a little bit rebellious or feisty, he may try to bridge into me, right? And if I'm not careful, he could perhaps roll me over, right? He could get me rolled over. So what this foot here does, when he bridges up, this foot bridges back. That's it. And I put his shoulders back on the ground, and I keep my grip secure. Another thing that he could do is try to roll away from me. This hand here that's underneath, he could push on my hip or even go under my armpit like we just did in the warm-up drill, and he could roll me over him. Go ahead. Right, let's go back. Right, he could roll me over him. And that's problematic. So my leg won't do much because my legs are on this side, but my hand can do this. As he tries to roll me, I put my hand up for base, and as soon as I can push him back to the back, my hands go back together. So this is the drill. He's going to bridge into me, and then he's going to try and push me away. And I just touch the ground for as long as it takes to make him flat again before I join the hands. So he bridges into me, I bridge back, and then away, I catch and put him back and join. Now throughout this motion, all of my weight is fixed as firmly as possible on this small section here, on his abdomen, his chest, preferably his hip is the best place to put your weight. This means that because I'm on top and I have gravity on my side, he'll become tired from trying to escape like this. And I'm waiting for him to get tired. I'm waiting for him to get tired. He can't keep bridging and rolling constantly because it's exhausting. One thing he may do once he stops, or once he realizes that the bridging and rolling isn't working for him, is he may just try now to push my hip, right? And perhaps slide his knee in between my body and his, and then turn his head this way and replace the guard. Right? If I want to stop that, rather than keep my hips there available for him to slide under, I'm going to switch my hips by sitting forward and facing him without changing my hands to block the knee from coming through. So as he pushes the hips, I'll just sit. And notice how this leg stays based, because now if he bridges into me, again, I'll bridge back using this leg. And if he tries to roll me over, again, the hand will go out. It's the same exact drill, but the hips have switched position. From here, I could take my arm and rather than keeping it on the ground, rest it on his body. Something like this. But I could do this. And what this does is it allows me to look a little more carefully at the situation here. And this is a jiu-jitsu specific submission that we'll work ourselves into. But if he's wearing a kimono, a gi, remember this simulates a jacket or perhaps a open zip front sweatshirt. So some type of cloth that separates at collars could be used to perform this submission. But for now, we're just looking at it from a straight gi jiu-jitsu perspective. And with my hand here like this and surveying the situation, this hand is free to go thumb down in the collar behind his head. Right? So I just put my thumb in and put my hand on the ground like this. This hand is going to go palm up inside the jacket. How do I get it there? Perhaps when I stay like this, right? Perhaps when I stay like this, he starts to push my head back and make the frame, so I can turn the hand palm up right here. And as he leans my shoulders back behind my hips, if I let him keep continuing, I'm going to end up on the ground. I don't want that. I want the position to be maintained. So I'm just going to switch my hips back. And as I do, go ahead. As I do, look, the hand can go right in. It opens up a space for the hand to go in. Right here, I've inserted the hand palm up into the gi. And I can maintain my side mount position here, making sure that I block the knee, right? And when it's time for me to move to the submission, I want to walk towards the head and drop this elbow here next to his shoulder. Right, so the elbow's going to go like this, down and inside his shoulder. And my head is going to go to his belt. I want this ear to go on his belt. When I put that together, look what it does. He pushes, he's working to escape, and now I move. Right here, you see him starting to get pressure across his neck, right? To finish the motion, I can do two things. I can drop the hips, or I can stand up on my feet and put my head on the ground. But when that happens, then I have to keep walking. All right? So this is referred to as the baseball bat choke. Because if you look at the positions that the hands are in, one hand is up like this, and the other is thumb in. When I take them away, it's just like a baseball bat. Right? So one hand would be palm up in the gi. The bottom near hand is palm up in the gi. The top near hand is palm down with the thumb inside the gi. Right? So fingers in the top hand, thumb for the bottom hand. And I want to continue to keep my weight and pressure on him. And when he pushes me a little bit, that it forces me to move, I want to walk around the corner towards his head and drop the elbow that's palm up in the gi, so this hand right here, down next to his throat. Right here, right? Now I did this open so you can see how the hands will be positioned. But if I were moving through, normally I would try and stay as tight as possible. And now to finish, I can put my hips on the ground, right? Or I can put my head on the ground and then continue walking. All right? So let's play with this position. First, start with your partner underneath you. Side mount him under the head, under the arm, palm to palm. This leg up, this leg stretched. And practice that when he bridges into you, you bridge back. And when he tries to roll you out, you put the hand there. Maybe now he pushes the hips. So I switch to this forward position, sometimes called Keishigatami in judo. And I look to take the hand and put it here and just monitor what's going on. If he starts to push my shoulders behind my hips, this is a problem because now I can fall. So since I don't want to fall, I can take a grip on the gi and follow him. I can also take the hand palm up, and as he pushes my hips back, look how the arm rotates underneath, look. Right, and the hand just slides in. From here, I'm going to walk around the corner. And when I walk around the corner, the elbow drops inside, next to his shoulder and my other arm. And now I can put my hips down and stretch, or my head can go on the ground and I can walk. Okay, either way, we'll feel pressure on the neck that makes us want to tap. So let's look at this together and then we'll start to see some variations. Okay? Make sense? All right, we're good.